Caught my 20 female wife cheating on me. 24 male. A couple weeks, shows little to no remorse and keeps phone away. My wife and I have been together for 2 years, married for a year this October. 2 weeks ago, I caught her cheating on me. I had caught her texting other guys previously but forgave her and moved on. Since catching her, she's shown little to no remorse and guards her phone and texts even though she claims she's no longer talking to anyone. In all honesty, a week after I caught her physically cheating on me, I caught her texting some other guy. I've done everything I can to try and reason with her, get her perspective, why, how she could do what she's doing to me, but it never goes anywhere. While this situation might sound cut and dry, I still love and care for her dearly. She doesn't have a support system outside of myself and my family. No one. She was living with her mom before we moved in with each other. Only 3 months after we met, she was emotionally and physically abusive towards my wife and had kicked her out before she came to live with me. Her stepfather, who does not live with her mother, is unable to support her or even take her in, even if she was to pay him rent. He's currently raising her brother and sister. HS. Her mother is basically a textbook welfare queen and loves and leaves men with her children. I more or less forced her to end pretty much all her toxic relationships. And because of that, I feel guilty for dismantling what little of a support system she actually had. And that leaves me here. I love and care for someone who has no respect for our marriage. I'll be honest, it's not all her. I've slacked in our relationship. I'm not perfect, but I've never cheated, abused, or hurt her. She's gotten her driver's license, a car, a stable job with regular hours she actually enjoys, stable and healthy relationships with me and my family. I am happy she is better off than she was, but I know if I just ended and we split, she would throw all that away. I've threatened divorce more times than I can count, which I know is probably the worst thing I could do. She then either physically lashes out towards me or threatens suicide. I'm tired of fighting with her. I love her and just don't want her to do what she's doing. I want to be with her. I want her to be happy and healthy. She claims to still love me, be with me, but then continues to text other guys while barely attempting to hide. Part of me wishes the guy I caught her with was rich and could provide her a stable, loving environment. I know that someone would and could take advantage of her. I thought maybe she's bipolar. I know I showed signs of borderline personality disorder and depression around 19, 20. I was mentally and emotionally unstable. I'm just trying to think of things that might explain her behavior. Maybe she just needs a good therapist. We're living with my parents. We were planning on moving out on our own this December. My mother found out about it all and basically said I'm free to stay, but she needs to go. I can't just divorce her and kick her out. Update. In between taking time to read most of these comments, I've already sat down with her and a third party and discussed our pending divorce. I've had the paperwork, just never confronted her with it. The third party was a close friend. She remained seemingly calm throughout it all, and everything is more or less set in motion. The third party was necessary to keep her from lashing out, and even more so for me to actually follow through. There's not much in terms of assets and no children, and we've agreed to go the uncontested route with no lawyers. So answer and/or address a few comments. No, we're not Mormon. And yes, obvious mistakes were made, marriage after a year being the most obvious. I can't really argue or defend myself when it comes to the doormat analogies, as they're all pretty much spot on. Objectively, I saw it coming, red flags and all. Even now, I realize I sound like a jackass asking for advice on how I should handle the situation that is pretty much cut and dry. I don't know what I was hoping to achieve by posting here. I don't know. I've had friends in the past I've lost to poor decisions they've made, and it's TDY to see someone crash and burn. The difference being I married that person, that being my personal poor decision. I knew this was going to happen and am as responsible as she is for putting up with it. I'm not comfortable with term white knight. I'd much rather prefer to call the dumb bless. It's like you know what to do, what makes sense, what's right, but you make excuses and roll with it, thinking things will just fix themselves. In the same way she can't explain why she cheated, I can really explain why I want her to be okay after this is all said and done. I'm usually vengeful when it comes to people crossing me, but even now, I don't really harbor any type of hate towards her. I don't know. Thanks for the advice. Story 2. Wife cheated on a work trip. Not sure how to feel. My spouse, 33 female, and I, 34 male, have been married for 12 years and together for 15. We have 4 children and have had many struggles with raising a large family, but nothing out of the ordinary. To make ends meet, I took a job out of town. I worked 3 weeks at a time and would be home for a week before leaving again. I did this for about a year. My wife was dealing with raising 4 kids and holding down a full-time career simultaneously, and I knew it was a lot to put on her shoulders. I was just doing whatever I could to pay the bills, so to speak. As the months went by, it was clearly weighing on her heavily. She asked me to come home frequently, and I told her I would love nothing more than to do so. But unless I found a job back home that would pay close to the same, I couldn't. Near the end of last year, it was clear to both of us that we were struggling with this. I felt intense loneliness and guilt for leaving my family alone so much. She was also lonely, but had also started to feel disconnected from me. She was given an opportunity to work for 4 weeks in another state as part of training for a promotion. We were both excited about it. After that, she came home, and things were back to normal. It was about a month after that, when I had come home for a week, that she told me she can't do this anymore, and I need to stay home. She said she couldn't hear me being gone again, and we needed to fix our marriage. She basically said she didn't feel loved, and that my refusal to stop working out of town was because I wanted to run away from her and the kids. She said that 2 close relatives of ours who are also her friends had been encouraging her to leave me, because I didn't want her anymore and I would never change. I agreed to stay and found a decent job back home. Things seemed better than they had ever been. At least it seemed that way until I looked through her phone about a month later. I was looking for old texts to really see what our relatives had told her, and found evidence that she had cheated on me. I confronted her about it, and she admitted that there was a co-worker when she was working out of town who she slept with the night before she left. He had been hitting on her and complimenting her and helped her at work. She told me she felt unloved and in a broken marriage, and he made her feel like she wasn't worthless. After she slept with him, I know she had something close to a crush on him for a few weeks to a month, but he didn't return any sort of interest. That was when she told me we have to fix our marriage. In the time between that and when I discovered the affair, we were really happy, and it felt like we finally had the relationship of our dreams. So of course it made finding out about all of this even harder to deal with. She told me she regretted it more than anything in her life, was planning on taking that secret to her grave to protect me and her, and wanted to try harder than ever to prove how devoted to me she is. I've been devastated, of course, but for a month now she has really been proving that she means it. She also is willing to consent to having spyware on her phone if I want, and we always know each other's location. My question is, should I just forgive her? How am I supposed to feel about this? I know for a fact that she felt like I didn't want to be in a marriage with her, and she thought I cheated on her as well before that happened. Now that she knows how wrong she was, she feels guilty, but wants to rebuild. I think I want to as well. I just want advice on how I should handle this situation. Edit. I wanted to clarify something about the affair. This was a co-worker at the location she was at while out of town. He doesn't work with her here at home. They didn't flirt or text about their relationship after she came back home. I understand that he was manipulating her, and it worked. The crush was mostly my interpretation of how she felt. We were still apart from each other for the following 3 weeks, and I think she liked to think that it was more than what it was because she still thought we weren't going to make it. She knew it was never going to be a relationship. Story 3. My 35M. Wife of 5 years, 29 farads, cheated. My wife of 5 years cheated by sleeping with a stranger she met in a store. They exchanged numbers, spoke, had drinks, and she took him to her hotel room and had sex with him. She confessed everything to me and firmly admits that the story, as crazy as it sounds, is true. Our marriage had been pretty shaky, and this was the reason for her taking a break and booking a hotel room in the first place. She went out on the town, and this is where she met the stranger. We still love and care about each other, however, and it would be nice for us to remain friends. Is this healthy? Secondly, she stayed in touch with the person she had *X with after their encounter, and she has developed a strong connection and liking with this person, even though she has only known this person for 3 weeks. She refers to it as love at first sight. She claims to still love me. She has since moved out and now has her own place. I told her that if we were to remain friends in any capacity, then you can't remain in a relationship or in open communication with the person that you've cheated on me with. She's finding this to be a difficult ask because she does not want to lose our friendship, but also has somehow developed a deep connection with her 3-week-old dealings with her asterisk male equivalent of mistress asterisk. Is this a reasonable request? Edit. Thank you guys for the kind and not so kind words. I appreciate all the advice. I will seek out a therapist to get through this, as it is indeed a painful moment in my life. I guess deep down I know none of this was a good idea, but maybe I was shocked by her admission and for their freaking audacious actions, coupled with the reality of the last 5 years of building, traveling, fun, and happy times, and my once best friend in life, and first true love all coming to an end. I am definitely allowing my emotions to hold me hostage here. The friendship obviously would not benefit me in any resourceful way, but I can see how it would benefit her in many ways. A security blanket, as someone put it. I also agree that at this point, I cannot dictate who she sees or befriends. Knowing that she still wanted some kind of relationship with the guy that she cheated on me with, I should have simply declined the mere notion of us being friends. To those seeking more details, no, we don't have kids. I have pressed her on the met at a store story several times, but she doubles down on it. Says she understands that the behavior was unsafe and unhealthy, but she was in a vulnerable place due to the marital funk when she first met the guy and accepted his number and his request to have drinks. Also blames some of her actions on alcohol. This woman came into my life when I was in a dark place myself. She is a big reason why I'm the person I am today, as she's helped build me up in many ways. So it seems to me that one of the reasons why I still wanted to be there for her after what happened was probably to show gratitude. As some has pointed out, it probably has to do with not having better self-esteem as well. I'm also aware that she can have suicidal thoughts and speak in really dark terms when she goes through situations like this, and she has during this process, especially when she thought she was going to be homeless, etc. But I'm coming to the realization that the same way I must now seek help to better myself, so does she. She cannot expect me to care more for her than she does for herself. Especially in a moment like this, I must prioritize myself and my mental health if I am to move past this. Throughout the years, we've had some marital issues, typically in the form of verbal abuse on both ends. When arguments occur, some pretty horrible things get said both by me and by her. We tried to change this, but it didn't seem to be working out. She claims that this is what drove her to do what she did. The break in question was not a separation. We were having discussions on whether we should call it quits or not after our last big fight. She then said that she needs space for herself, and this is when she went out of town for a couple days. She even asked me to join her on the first day/night, which I did. The next day is when the situation happened with the stranger. I still cannot make sense of all of it. Some of it definitely seems made up and like she's lying. Others just seem like pretty irrational behavior of which she's blaming on things that I've said in arguments. Whether it was planned or not, or done out of anger, it's blatantly disrespectful no matter how you look at it. If we were to end things, fine, let's do that first, then pursue your rendezvous. As much as it still hurts and as painful as all of this is, I am now filing for divorce. I stopped all contact with her, except for how to distribute our assets. And I'll be getting a therapist. Thank you for your time, words, encouragement, and advice. It has helped me gain some clarity on things I was in obvious denial about. Story 4. I have to share this obnoxious story with you guys. So, I've been married to my husband for 14 years now. About 2 or 3 years into our marriage, I was doing laundry and forgot to check the pockets. So when I was pulling the laundry out of the washing machine, I checked the pockets. To my confusion and horror, I found the top part of a ripped condom wrapper in his pocket. It was pretty small, but had the serial number on it and it matched our pack. The thing is though, we had stopped using condoms 9 months before I found it. My husband claims, and still does even after finding out about his multiple affairs this year, that he never cheated on me at that time, and said it must have gotten stuck inside the drum of the washing machine and then somehow washed out and landed inside of his pocket 9 months later. How absolutely ridiculous is that? I almost left him for that. but everyone in my family and his reassured me that he loved me and would never do that to me. Imagine everyone's surprise this year. I stayed because I had no hard evidence and didn't want to throw away what felt like an amazing marriage with my best friend over something that might not have really happened. Hindsight, right? At least I have a wonderful child from this show of a marriage, but that story has always rubbed me the wrong way. There was also a woman he worked with that was always giggly and blushing around him. Pretty sure she's the one he had sex with. Can't wait for AP to see what kind of prize she's won by taking my husband. Update. Missing WH today. Well, who I thought he was. The road to healing is so weird. At first I was so low that I didn't feel like my life would get any better. I remember posting a Facebook post 5 months ago asking people how more people didn't kill themselves during a divorce. It was something that I thought of often and never did because of my love and responsibility to my child. Then I started having days where I could breathe. I noticed the sun on occasion, and there were parts of my day where I wasn't anxious, that gradually turned into days where I felt okay. And now I have more good days than bad. But why do I still have days like this? It's so crazy to me how much love I still have for my husband. Even though I also feel like I really hate him, I still love him so incredibly much. I guess that shows how much of myself that I put into our 14-year marriage. Can't just turn that off like a light switch. It's rainy outside and I just feel kinda down today and have been thinking about how we were when we were good. How much I miss my best friend and partner in life. I'm glad I found out before I wasted my whole life with him. But it sucks. I miss the man I thought he was. When does the mourning period stop? Especially since he cheated on me multiple times. I should have nothing but hate for him, but I don't. Update 2. So, my estranged husband called me and woke me up early in the morning telling me he's gone to the hospital. He said he's been having anxiety and panic attacks nonstop and that he can't sleep. I asked him if him and AP have been fighting, and he replies with no, not at all. The only thing going on in my life is our divorce. And I replied with, well, maybe that's what's bothering you. Is it bad that I was ecstatic to hear that he's been having extreme anxiety and that he can't sleep? After I had to go through months of that after he chose AP over our 14-year marriage and moved in with her. I feel like karma has been doing work. AP gets to see all of the bad sides of him other than his cheating now, since she's already experienced that. I often wonder if he's already stopped cleaning up after himself yet, or if he's drinking himself into oblivion like he used to when we were together. I wonder if she is starting to feel like she's taking care of another child yet. Speaking of, during this phone call, he asked to talk to our son because he was panicking. Our son wasn't up for school yet, as it was early, and I told him this. He said that it was fine, and that he'd call him after he gets off of work. He of course did. It's been 17 days now since he's called his son just to say hi or I love you. He tried calling once on Christmas, but we were in the car driving home with a bad signal, so he said he would call him back. He never did. What kind of a father never calls his child back to ask him about his holiday and to tell him he misses him? Our son has tried to call him multiple times, but he never answers or calls back. Just occasionally messages our son TikTok videos over text with no words attached to them. Is it bad karma for me to be happy that he's suffering the way that he is? It's even affecting his job, and money is more important to him than anyone or anything. So yeah, I'm cautiously ecstatic that things aren't going well for him. So there you have it, guys. If you need more videos like these on Deep Turkish Confessions, then smash that like button and subscribe now and stay tuned for more videos like these.